Good evening and welcome to the Manteno Village Board meeting for Monday, April 17th, 2023. Let's call the meeting to order. If we could all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Boyce.
Here.
Martin.
Here.
Dole.
Here.
Crockett.
Here.
Geske.
Here.
Phillips.
Here.
We have a quorum. Tonight, as always, we begin with the approval of the minutes. We have our regular board meeting minutes from April 3rd, 2023 that was included in everyone's packet, and hopefully everyone has had the opportunity to review them. Are there any changes, additions, deletions, corrections to the minutes? Seeing none, I'd accept the motion to approve the minutes and to waive the reading of the minutes and approve them as presented by the clerk.
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Crockett.
Second.
Second by Dole. Roll call.
Crockett.
Yes.
Dole.
Yes.
Boyce.
Yes.
Martin.
Yes.
Geske.
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Motion carries. Public participation. Don't have anyone here, so we don't. Chris, there was no correspondence or anything that you got.
Nothing this
Okay.
evening. No?
Village President's Report. Just a couple items that I have on the agenda for tonight. Tonight's the last meeting, our regular meeting for our fiscal year 2020, ending April 30th of 2023. So tonight we have to approve the all the liquor licenses and video gaming licenses for the all the different entities. Because their licenses are good till April 30th, we won't have another meeting until into the month of May. So tonight we go and we approve all those for the next fiscal year. Tonight we'll be approving all of our liquor license and our gaming license, video gaming license, our amusement license. And the liquor license are as follows. A liquor license renewal, these are all renewals, no new ones, but they're all renewals. For the Manteno Sportsman's Club, Class A and O, Manteno American Legion, Class A and O, the Back 40 Saloon, Class A, Anthony's Pizzeria, Class A and O, Route 50 North, Class A and O, the Pub at Midtown, Class A, Chalk It Up Billiards, Class A, Sammy's Pizza, Class A and O, Darla's Deli and Cafe, Class A, Steam Hollow Brewing Company, Class A. In Class B, we have Burkott Superfoods, Max Convenience Store, number 1386 at 113 Cypress, Mini Mart at 9051 North Route 45, Max Convenience Store 183 at 29 South Locust, CVS Drugstore, Manteno Liquor Inc., Casey's Retail Company on Locust, and Casey's Retail Company on Division. On Class C, we have Monocles and Los Dos Pueblo Restaurant LLC. For Class D, we have Winnie's Bistro and Riley's LLC. For amusement license, we have Route 50 North, Nightlight Vending, Anthony's Pizzeria and Pub. And then, so we'll have 10 Class A licenses, 8 Class B, 2 Class C, 2 Class D, no Class E licenses, no Class F, or 5 Class O licenses. So those will be on the consent agenda later on in the meeting. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to take them now. If not, we'll have those approved tonight. We'll get all those signed so Darla can start distributing those to the entities, and because they have to apply then for all their state licenses at the same time, so they need a little bit of time to be able to do that. The other item I have under my agenda is Ordinance 2224, which is an ordinance authorizing amendment to the Capital Improvement Revenue Bond Nexus Diversified Community Services Project, Series 213 of the Village of Manteno, Kankakee County, to approve alternate interest rate formulas to replace the LIBOR-based interest rate formula in the bond, authorizing the amendment of documents related to the amendment, authorizing any amendments to the loan agreement and pledge agreement appropriate in connection with the amendment to the bond, and authorizing other actions in connection with the addendum to the bond. Joe, do you want to talk about what that is? Is it something that we've haven't done in the past a little bit?
Yeah, sure. In 2013, we issued capital improvement bonds for the Nexus Diversified Community Project. They were bonds where they just use the village unit of government to issue the bonds so that they can get the interest tax-free, tax-exempt bond. You don't have any liability to pay them all back. It goes directly from Nexus to the bank. You're just kind of the vehicle, the conduit, so to speak, to do that. They had an interest rate reset dates fixed into the bond that were based on LIBOR, which is getting out. I guess they're going to do away with the LIBOR index now. So they're going to switch it over to the fair, what do I have here? Federal Home Loan Bank number, so that the interest rate will be based off of that. They just needed an ordinance to approve those bond documents.
Again, this puts the village at no liability, and like you said, we're strictly the governmental entity. The fact that Nexus is not even in the village of Manteno, but they do qualify because of their proximity and their location. Like I say, we did this back in 2013, and this is just an addendum and amendment. So that will also be on the consent agenda. If anyone has any questions, I asked Joe to be available so he could answer those, because, to be perfectly honest with you, I'm not adept at what that's all about either, but I know that we did it back several years ago.
So we have no liability. What's our benefit?
There's no benefit either.
Well, you're going to get a $5,000.
Okay, yeah. For doing the paperwork and paying for, the attorney for doing it.
We get your attorney's fees and an extra $5,000.
Yeah. Any other questions? I have nothing further. Village Administrator's report, Mr. Larock.
Thank you, Mayor. I have nothing this evening.
Committee reports tonight, Public Works and Utilities, Mr. Boyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have nothing on the agenda, but I do have a meeting on this month on the 25th. That's all I got. Thank you.
I sent you an email tonight too, Darla and Chris. I got a call today from Aqua, Illinois. They wanted to come to the Public Works meeting next week, just to be here to pass out some cards and some information about some programs that Aqua has. They really don't need to or want to be on the agenda, but they'd like to attend the committee meeting. So Angie Serafini from Aqua will be at the board meeting at at the committee meeting at 7 o'clock next.
Oh, very nice.
Thank you, Mr. Boyce. Properties and Recreation, Mr. Martin.
No old business, no new business, and we don't have any meetings scheduled yet, but Chris wanted to talk about the splash pad kink.
Yeah, so we talked about this at our committee meeting. Last year we did a program, cooperation program with Splash Valley, the Kankakee Park District, to offer our residents the resident fee instead of the non-resident fee. And the board agreed to do that again this year. Obviously, we want to support the Splash Valley. We don't want to have to build our own, so it's a good thing that we work in conjunction with them. So any residents that want to get a discounted rate just need to come into Village Hall, pick up the form, they fill one out for us, and then we give them a form to take with over to Splash Valley to get the discounted resident rate instead of the non-resident rate. And that'll be for the entire season this summer.
And how that works is, the Kankakee Valley Park District, we had an agreement with them. They keep track of how many people from Manteno use that, and then they bill us at the end of the year for the difference. So our citizens pay the exact same rate as if they were in the jurisdiction of the Kankakee Valley Park District. And it was pretty reasonable for us to do that last year. We did have a few people take advantage of it. The more the better. I mean, it'll cost us a little bit of money, but it's very economical. A program to participate in.
Yeah, and I think they're going to put it out there a little stronger this year that we're cooperating with them. They sent us some flyers that we can put out on the counter, and hopefully they'll get the word out there, and it'll be even more successful than it was last year.
Anything else?
Thank you, Mr. Martin. Public Safety and Health, Mrs. Dole.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any action items on the agenda. My next public safety meeting is Wednesday, May 10th, 7 a.m. here in the Village Boardroom. My tip for the night is distracted driving has become a deadly epidemic on our roads. Cell phone use, specifically texting, talking, and social media use, has become the most common distraction. Other risky actions include adjusting the radio or GPS, applying makeup, eating and drinking. By driving distracted, you're robbing yourself of seconds that may need to avoid a close call or a deadly crash. In 2021, distracted driving killed 3,522 people. April, which is the National Distracted Driving Awareness Month, is a good time to regroup, take responsibility for the choices we make when we're on the road. Follow these safety tips for a safe ride. Need to send a text? Pull over and park your car in a safe location. Designate your passenger as your designated texter to respond to calls or messages. Do not scroll through apps while driving. Struggling not to text and drive. Put the cell phone in the trunk, glove box, or back seat of the vehicle until you arrive at your destination. Remind your friends and family, if you're in a driver's seat, it's the only thing you should be doing. No distractions. If your driving is texting or otherwise distracted, tell them to stop and focus on the road. Ask your friends to join you in pledging not to drive distracted. You could save a life. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mr. Dole. Planning and zoning, Mr. Crockett.
Thank you, Mayor. I don't have any items on the agenda this evening, but we do have a Planning and Zoning Committee meeting scheduled for Tuesday, April 25th, 7 a.m. here in the Village Boardroom, and there is also a Planning Commission meeting scheduled for Tuesday, May 9th, 6 p.m. here in the Village Boardroom. And that's all I have for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Crockett. Finance, Mr. Geske.
Thank you, Mayor. I have ordinance 2222, an ordinance to reallocate amounts within funds between departments and to utilize additional amounts from fund balances for the year end of April 30th, 2023 budget. Additionally, I have ordinance 2223, an ordinance approving the budget for the Village of Manteno for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2023 and ending April 30th, 2024. Prior to tonight's meeting, we had a meeting regarding this. It was open to the public. There was no questions or comments in regards to that. Payment of bills in the amount of $336,172.06, of which TIF 1 bills are $34,000. We've had no bills authorized and paid between board cycle, and our next finance meeting is on May 10th at 7 a.m.
Thank you, Mr. Geske. General Government, Mr. Phillips.
I have no old business on the agenda. New business, I have ordinance 2221, and ordinance amending Title 3, Business Regulations by changing Chapter 7, Itinerant Merchants of the Municipal Code for the Village of Manteno. And that's all I have.
Chris, you want to explain a little bit about what the change is for that?
Yeah, so we've had some requests for some of the events that aren't necessarily sponsored by the village to allow food trucks to come to those events. And to do that, they'd have to set up on public property. The existing ordinance was a little ambiguous on the language of it. Previously, we had not allowed vendors to set up on public property. But we also realized that for some of the village events, like the Rockin' on Main, we were allowing that to happen. So this is kind of a something to just clean up the ordinance, and it will allow other events to have vendors or food trucks and place them on public property under our direction. So we still maintain control of that, but it is something that we will allow moving forward.
So people have questions, they can contact you, and there's a fee associated with this?
Yes, there is, and we just want to make sure that this does not allow people to just come to town and set up in a parking lot without coming through the village. There is a fee and a license that they have to get in order to do that.
Does it limit the number of days per year that they can operate in the village or anything?
There's a separate fee for food trucks because they do tend to set up more than once, but it does not necessarily limit them. But again, we control how often and where they can set up. So.
Okay.
And like I say, one of the reasons for this too is you don't want to, a food truck setting up, without us knowing about it, on parking lot on Main Street in front of one of the restaurants that are there operating every day, paying, taxes, and gives us a little more control over when and where, but it also still allows them to do it when there's festivals or one other type of special event.
And that's really the goal, is to just more or less allow these when there's an event going on, like the car show. That's when all this came up. They'd like to add a food truck at the car show, and that's getting to be a pretty large event. And again, we do it for our events, so it's kind of hard to tell somebody who's having one that they can't do it. But we still want to control it and maintain authority over where they can do it, so.
And make sure that all the trucks that are there are all licensed and, you know, they have the proper certification from the county and everybody else. Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Phillips. So the items we'll be voting on the consent agenda tonight are as follows. Under old business, we have nothing. Under new business, we have a motion to approve the liquor, amusement, and video gaming licenses for FY 23-24 as submitted by the village clerk. Item number 2 is ordinance 2221, an ordinance amending Title III Business Regulations by changing Chapter 7 itinerant merchants of the municipal code for the village of Manteno. Item number 3 is ordinance 2222, an ordinance to reallocate amounts within funds between departments and utilize additional amounts from fund balances for the fiscal year ending April 30th, 2023 budget. Item number 4 is ordinance 2223, an ordinance approving the budget for the village of Manteno for the fiscal year beginning May 1st, 2023 and ending April 30th, 2024. Item number 5 is ordinance 2224, an ordinance authorizing the amendment to the Capital Improvement Revenue Bond Nexus Diversified Community Services Project, Series 2013, to the Village of Manteno, Kankakee County, Illinois, to approve the alternate interest rate formulas to replace the LIBOR-based interest rate formula in the bond, authorizing the amendment of documents related to the amendment, authorizing any amendments to the loan agreement and pledge agreement appropriate in connection with the amendment to the bond, and authorizing other actions in connection with the amendment to the bond. And also we have the motion to approve the payment of the bills in the amount of $336,172.06. Are there any items on the consent agenda that we need to vote on individually? Seeing none, I would accept the motion to take a single roll call vote on the question of passage of the agenda items as read.
I'll make that.
Motion by Boyce, second by Martin. Roll call.
Boyce?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Dole?
Yes.
Crockett?
Yes.
Geske?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Motion carries. Accept the motion to approve by omnibus vote the ordinances, resolutions, motions, and orders contained in the consent agenda as read. Motion by Geske,
Second.
second by Dole. Roll call.
Geske?
Yes.
Dole?
Yes.
Boyce?
Yes.
Martin?
Yes.
Crockett?
Yes.
Phillips?
Yes.
Motion carries. Any comments tonight, Mr. Boyce? You have anything you want to discuss?
No comments tonight, thank you.
Mr. Martin?
Nothing.
Mrs. Dole?
I should have mentioned, we're in farming season, so obviously watch on the rural roads and everything for farming machinery, because they're going to be out planting shortly, and they're going to be moving between farm and farms. So being a farming community, we have that benefit to have our farmers moving around the area. So be careful.
Mr. Crockett?
Just one quick thing. I know today's weather is not conducive for it, but driving past the park over the weekend when it was nice, the jumping pillow, is that scheduled to be set up anytime soon, do you know?
Chris, what's our schedule on that?
Typically, it's kind of weather-based, but obviously, we had a few nice warm days, but then this week it's kind of gone bad again, so.
But it's also, we're trying to make sure that when we open it, the first month or so that it's opened is usually the time that we have the most issues there with some of the discipline, so whenever we open it, we want to make sure that we have park rangers scheduled. Not knowing exactly what the weather is going to be, it's like we could have had park rangers scheduled for Saturday, it would have been perfect. Sunday and Monday, not so much, So as we get a little farther into the season, probably I would say the first week or two of May, where you're going to have more consistent, better weather, that's when we hope to have it done. Has Jim got the cover on it yet, the overhead? I don't think it is.
No, they usually do that.
Yeah, so I would say it's probably going to be more close to the first or second week of May.
I was just anxious to get out there and jump around.
Yeah, well, you're
Just
right.
curious.
Saturday was a beautiful day, and speaking of that, I got some people sent me pictures of all the people over at the pickleball court on Saturday, which was great. I mean, I'm glad to see that getting used. Obviously, we've got plans to expand that area over there and put more courts and a variety of other different, things for amusement there too. We did have a concern about the location, evidently the porta potty got moved to a different location, and that will be corrected in the next couple of days. We're going to, move that to a better spot. But it's nice to see that when the nice weather is out or is available, that people are taking advantage of the courts that we do have.
When we keep this up, we might be talking about the skating, the ice rink. We can get that set back up.
Yeah.
That was it.
Mr. Geske?
I have nothing, thank you.
Mr. Phil?
No comments tonight.
I have nothing else. I just, like I said, wanted to talk about the pickleball courts. Just glad to see that them using it. The popularity is there. More and more people are requesting those, those things. And we do have plans in the works for 8 more courts. But the planning stages take quite a while. The construction stage will be sometime this summer. So hopefully the new addition will be done later on this year for, hopefully be able to be used at the end of '23 or for sure next year. But I'm just glad to see that investment's paying off with nice weather here. I have nothing further except the motion to adjourn.
Make that motion.
Motion by Dole.
Second.
By Boyce. Roll call.
Dole,
Yes.
Boyce, Martin,
Yes.
Crockett,
Yes.
Geske,
Yes.
Phillips.
Yes.
Motion carries. Thank you very much for coming and for watching.